Otsukimi here. Who else would it be? This is Observations with Otsu for Monday, January 20th. I hope you're having a good day. Today was the big day that everybody was waiting for. That's part of the topic of this video, the whole inauguration thing. Guess what? Bitcoin's not $300,000 like everybody expected. If you paid attention to my last video, not to get ahead of myself, I pretty much said exactly this, that it was just going to be a non-event. And last week's video is a good video to check out if you are interested in my thought process. Okay, it is a little brash. Okay, so my goal is not to offend anybody, but I also don't care if I do or not. It's not that I'm trying to, but I'm going to tell you how it is. Okay, I'm not trying to be based or not. It's not. I'm not going there. What I am trying to say is, I've looked at these from different data points and I explain that. But we'll get into that. I want to reserve that right here. I want you to look at just the one preliminary. I'm trying to condense this out. Here's the Apex Trading Group. This is my private group. We do daily market analysis. We do videos. Everybody gets 5 free videos per day, even if you're on X. But you also get 5 extra videos per day. You get trading positions, you get charts, and then you get private education. I will be extending this as I go. I will be increasing the price. I've had some questions about that, but I'm also going to increase my services as well, offering private mentoring and extra details along with that. So go ahead and check that out if you haven't. So that's kind of the introduction. Let's get started. We're going to start into the theme about what does this mean, because everybody's been making a big deal about the whole Trump inauguration thing, but let's get into it. What does it mean? Got a lot of questions. Let's get started. So first of all, we'll kind of get in. We'll start with the theme. We usually start with the theme of this video, and the theme is a new era of crypto or not. And so basically, we're gonna see what this looks like. A lot of this actually does not stem from me. Like, I don't necessarily want to cover this, but this has been the big thing, right? Obviously, we also know, um, you know, Trump is now the president again here in the United States. For some of you, it doesn't matter, and I totally understand, and I agree with that, especially if you're in a different country. Like, why would that matter? We'll get into that later in this video, because I do think that is part of what we should look at, because Bitcoin is a world currency, a commodity, things like that. So why do we need to bother with, United States, which is my home country, a country I was born in, country that I've lived in most of my life, and so, but what does that got to do with a currency that doesn't have borders per se? Like, why does the United States either have a stronghold on the currency, or why does it even matter that the United States has a Bitcoin reserve, for example? And I think a lot of this, um, honestly, I think a lot of the divide stands because of expectations, and this is the kind of the first part of this video, that I think expectations are just too chaotic right now. In multiple ways. There's from a technical analysis front and a fundamental. I'll start with fundamental first. Basically, the whole idea, like, and a lot of it stems from Bitcoin maxis, which I'm not against Bitcoin maxis, but they can be a little zealous and kind of weird in a sense where they kind of act as if it's like their religion, right? I'm a practicing Protestant Christian that actually has, as I have the ability to preach in churches as well, and it's like these people go beyond that. Like, it's like I've seen this active, the maxi personality for Bitcoin. I've seen that. It's very it's a radical mentality, and I understand that to an extent. But I also, I think that's weird for a currency, and even, like I said, I'm a practicing Protestant, so that means I adhere to the Old and New Testament, and one of the things it says you cannot serve two masters, and it refers to God and money, and so I think that's, going from the money aspect of that, I don't think it's a coincidence that they are overzealous about money. Okay, and so I think that's weird. Now that's not where I wanted to go with this, but I did say that because they're trying to imprint and enforce the way that they think about Bitcoin on the world. And the biggest example today was, like, I watched the inauguration today, and there was some statements made, and a lot of Bitcoin maxis, or I should say maxis, like people that focus majority on Bitcoin with crypto, were very upset that crypto was not mentioned and Bitcoin was not mentioned in the inauguration and in the statements. And I'm like, it's the inauguration. Like, is this your first inauguration? And like the funny thing is, many of these people aren't even Americans. So it's like, I understand that they have some ignorance on that, and I'm not saying that to offend nobody, but that's, do you see where I'm coming from? It's just too overblown. Like, you're trying to force everything. Like, you should be grateful that we got the alternative that we got. Like, if you're familiar with the United States, maybe you live in there, but like, look what we could have gotten instead. Okay, I think we're doing a pretty good job. I think we need to put the brakes on as far as fundamentals, as far as trying to squeeze the government to do things for us. Because I don't know about you, I joined in Bitcoin in 2017 with the expectation that the government was not really good at their job, and the government should be working for the people. But like, I joined Bitcoin and crypto because I want to handle my own money. I don't need the government to tell me what to do. And I'm not even saying that's a bad thing. I'm not saying that I don't think banks should either. Like, you should be in charge of your own money, personal finance, DeFi, things like that. Okay. So I think it's a little, I, I think we ourselves as a CT community can do damage trying to poke um, the new administration, so to speak, on things that they might do eventually. But even if they don't, like, what's it to you? Because if Bitcoin's still as strong as you say it is, does that matter? See what I'm saying? So that's the first part of it. The second part of it is the TA side, and this is why I made my video from observations with Otsu last week about people thinking that we're just gonna shoot up to 150,000 the next day. Okay, and so, and you can see here we got a pretty good fake out here. We have a bullish candle here, but this is not a very well presented bullish candle, and we'll get into that in the technical side of this, which is the second half of this video. But I think a lot of people expected things, like, because the Department of Government Efficiency coin didn't really go up that much. A lot of the coins didn't go up that much. Trump and his wife also launched their own token, which we'll get into here in a second. But I also think the tokens do matter. I'll get to that really quickly here. But from both fronts, from the FA side, from fundamentals, like, we need to have this change, we need to have Bitcoin Reserve, and I think Bitcoin Reserve is a good idea. Okay, just look at El Salvador and other countries like that. Like, there's no reason that the United States should not be doing this um, by summer. Okay, now, I'm not saying they have to. I'm not going to be upset if they don't. Whatever. It is what it is. But at the same time, I do think some of the pressure is unjustified. Now, on the technical analysis, it's more about expectations. Like, I think it's a very shallow expectation to think that the world cares about Bitcoin as much as you think it does, or that they should care as much as you do. Okay, because at the end of the day, you're really here for the technical side. If you're here from a trading aspect, you're here because you want them to pump your bags. And if you don't like to hear that, that's fine, but that's absolutely true. I mean, you want your bags to be pumped. But the thing is, if you have this expectation to have this pump, you're never going to be satisfied. I don't care if it does pump 1,000%, 10,000%. You're still not going to be satisfied. You're always going to want more. And like, the day's not even halfway done, and there's already people. Market's going up. It's health. It's healthy. Okay, and people are still upset about this. Okay, so, and I think most of it, there's things in life, trading anything, right? There's things in life that you can't control. There's things you can. Look at the things you can control in related to the Bitcoin pressure and the trading expectations. And so that's pretty much the first idea, and that's the reason we have this divide, is because people have this expectation, and this now we're going to go more to the trading aspect, but we have this expectation with the markets, and this is where I think the divide actually separated the most because of Trump's tokens and his wife's tokens, which kind of leads me into the second aspect here that I do want to talk about, is the Trump official Trump token, and then the Millennia, I can't say her name, um, meme token. And so these were quite unexpected. So the Trump token happened on a late Friday afternoon for me. It was around daily close, so almost Saturday in terms of UTC time. His wife's token launched about 12 to 16 hours later, or probably no more than that, probably almost a full day later, right? And so we can take a look at the charts here really quickly, but I don't want to do too much TA on the charts, but I do want to talk about their effect while looking at the charts. So I'll probably spend most of my time just focusing on the Trump chart because, I mean, obviously I think that that's more contextual for this video. But it launched roughly at a Friday night here in the States, depending on what zone you're in, and really more so like Saturday as far as UTC time. Now, one thing that we can see here is it's only 3 days old, right? So that's something basically I just said. I'm gonna get rid of the volume just because it's just not needed right here. But one thing I want to look at here is that you have a market cap of about 8 billion, okay, and then you have a diluted value of about 41 billion. So that's pretty substantial, okay. As far as CoinGecko, I think it was ranked like top 25 at one point. I think it was like 23, and I'm not sure where it is now. So it's the number 2 trending coin. It's going a lot. It's doing pretty good. As far as that goes, liquidity is pretty high, 700 million. But the supply lock, I think, was something like 80%. I'm not going to really look it up, but it is pretty high, and so that is a key excuse me, issue. Now, I suppose I could just do the math here, but um, I thought it would show. But anyway, but it does have. So a lot of you premium members know that I've made up a term called volcap, where um, I combine the volume, the market cap, and liquidity to get a good ratio. This does have a good ratio according to the market cap, not according to the full diluted value. But the market cap needs to be higher than the volume, and the volume needs to be higher than liquidity. That's all it is. Okay, and so that satisfies there as far as being um, stable enough, I want to say. And the reason I say stable enough is because usually I'm looking at the FDV about this, not the market cap, even though I do call it vol cap. The whole point is making sure that the market capitalization is healthy enough, because if you have too much volume, okay, so let's say if the market cap is 8.2 but the volume is 10 million or 10 billion, that's pretty bad. It's a sign that people aren't really holding it. That's more of a market making thing. That's why, like, I'm not impressed when tokens add market makers. That's not a sign that things are improving. That's usually, in my experience, and sometimes it is. Sometimes it is. So it's not a broad painted brush here, but most of the time it gets added to a project when they are struggling, okay, because they're already illiquid, and then they over volumize it, okay, and so that's an issue. Now, fortunately, that is not the issue here. Alternatively, if you had a liquidity here of like, so the volume is 2.1 billion, right? So what if the liquidity was 3 billion? Okay, well, that means anybody that has a supply or demand interest is going to get more closer to their market price or their limit price or whatever. Like, it's too liquid. I know this sounds bad, but you do need a coin. If you want to make money off of a coin, it does need to have a less liquidity. Now, I'm not saying low liquidity. I'm saying it needs to be less. Okay, it can't just be an overabundance of liquidity, because that means there's no value. Okay, liquidity um, helps you understand value. Okay, and that's why, that's why the USA prints so many dollars, because the dollars are liquid. But we have to keep the liquidity up to maintain the distribution of the dollar. Okay, But that's also why we're printing more money, which is making it less valuable. See, that's the whole point. We have a lot of liquidity in terms of USD, and that is why the USD is diminishing. It's accelerating in its inflation more so the past 10 years than probably the past 50 to 40 to 50 years. And so that's part of that issue. Now, a little education there, but my point is a lot of people got really upset about this, mainly because it was a huge liquidity suck for the market. So if we go back to the total, um, we went down. This was these two bearish candles right here, even for this one here, but that's mainly for today. We had a pretty significant drop down. The thing is, we actually recovered that, so it's really not even that big of a deal. But it caused a very rapid, 4 hour move to 5% or more on the downtrend. And if we look at that from, like total three, let's say, it's even worse. Okay, and so it's like six. That's not much, but so I think most of it ended up being with the rest of the market. Let's see, how did Bitcoin do? Yeah, it was right here. So it was a little bit less. It was about 1.5% less. But part of my point is with the total is that a lot of altcoins really suffered. Like I'm in a lot of groups, and it was very interesting to see a lot of market and I feel bad. I'm just saying this as an observation. This is observations with Otsu, not criticism with Otsu. So a lot of alts went down 60%. Like I've got screenshots that I've shared to my private group, that some coins that we were looking at went down 60% on my watch list. No, those are not coins that I shared in our trades. Our trades are doing really good actually, because most of them are more liquid coins. A lot of coins that suffered were AI coins. Okay, and this is where I'm not a fan of getting into narrative coins too much. Like, and I've said this in various ways, mainly to my private group. But when I pick a narrative, I only pick like one or two coins. Okay, so like meme coins, like before the meme coin mania or late last year, I only got into like Dogecoin and like one other coin. Okay, then I got into some other ones. Most of you guys know I'm into Bongo, things like that. Bongo's not doing very good today, and that's completely fine. Okay, it's down about 1.4, but you can do yourself a disservice. Let's say AI coins, which are the hot thing. I don't think crypto AI is going to be as big of a deal as you think. That's just a side note, but um, compared to regular AI, I should say. But when you're trading 30 AI coins, like, and then the AI narrative suffers, then you're gonna suffer on all 30 of those coins. See what I'm saying? Whereas if you do diversify a little bit, and this is where I'm okay with diversification, if you put in two meme coins, two AIs, two DPINs, two infers, things like that, that will even your odds a little bit. Focusing on Bitcoin certainly helps as well, and things like that. So that's kind of what I'm looking at for that. And so most of the suffrage happened on those coins because a lot of those coins have not recovered. Even Dogecoin or Department of Government Efficiency is not doing that good today. I mean, and it was discussed in let me see here. I'm gonna look off screen. It was discussed in the inauguration, and so it's down to it's down 42% in the past 24 hours. So not exactly inspiring. And guess what? I told you guys last week that this may be the case, and so that's why you don't chase these things around. So anyway, that's partly the effect that we've had with the Trump coin. Going back to Dexter here, and so that is why a lot of people are not happy about this because the Trump coin took a lot of liquidity out, and and I'd say to even more than that, like people sold their current positions to buy this. Okay, and then they bought Solana too. Solana went up, and then Solana went down. And it's currently down today, and so um, a lot of people want to blame him for it. And so this is very divisive. This is the first time in probably 2 or 3 years where I've had people messaging me, um, telling me that They're really fed up with the market, that they're done. They are disappointed. They've lost money, which I totally understand that part. And I understand all of this honestly. So I'm not criticizing here. And so I don't really have an opinion necessarily as far as this goes. I'm just making statements, right? Now, I have made statements about the Trump coin on my feed in X, and I do paint a positive focus on the coin as far as its accessibility. You know, most people are looking at this from a moral standpoint, that he's a scumbag, things like that. And like, look, I think you have a valid opinion. I really do. Also, I think and I think we need to understand that he has a history of doing these kind of things that are legal, but complex, complicated, and things like that. And so I've made statements about this where, um, I mean, when it comes down to it, like, it's because you have a vested interest in this, and that's kind of what it boils down to. And so a lot of people have taken a different stance. They've bought it, and they've made some money off of it. And so we'll see where this goes. As far as the tokens go, we'll see where this goes. Now, going back to the theme of this video, how does this pertain to his 4 years? I don't think it does. I don't think it does matter at all. I don't think it has an effect. I think I 1000% understand people's. If you're in the trenches, I understand how you feel. I do. I do. Okay. I have not. I've lost money this past week myself. Now, we also know the nature of the game. We know a lot of you guys that have been here in the trenches understand the rules of the trenches, understand that they can be harsh, unforgivable. They can be, um, there's no grace, there's no mercy, there's lots of things. And so I think, and the thing is, to me, like, yes, he's different, all that, but like, people are saying, well, this is not the same as some stupid meme coin. But you know that when you're trading a stupid meme coin, that's a stupid meme coin, and you're basically gambling on it. Okay, you are gambling on it, and so the same rules apply. But this is a legal endeavor. Okay, and I would even argue probably a better endeavor than buying some stupid coin you never heard of, that like, that's named after something derogatory. Like, come on, you guys, you know what you're doing. You should know what you're doing. And if you're not, then, I mean, I'm not saying you deserve this wake up call, but like, we've all had to uh, pay our tuition, so to speak, on trying to understand that, right? And so I'm not defending him. I'm not defending him. I'm not defending the coins. But 99% of people that are offended by this is because they lost money because of the liquidity suck. And so, I've lost money because of liquidity suck, but I'm not offended by this, because anybody can do this. And two, I don't I, however this plays out in 4 years time, this is going to fade and go zero. Okay? Because his term's going to be over. But I really don't think this is going to be as big of a deal long term. Okay, I think this is. And if you want my personal opinion, I don't think it's that deep. A lot of people think it's security issues, which I understand. National security issues, I totally understand why. I don't think it's that deep. Just think it's a way to fund some of their interests. That's all I think. Okay, and this is not Clinton Foundation stuff. This is something legal. You have the option. Okay, like, I totally understand being upset that it was a liquidity suck, but it's a whole nother different ball game if you buy the token and then you complain that you lost money. No one is losing money here except for willing participants. A lot of you really like that margin call movie, by the way, and the whole point of that is, should they feel bad for selling their shares before the house, knowing that the housing market's probably going to crash. Okay, now I'm gonna go away from the tokens here and talk a little bit about some of the things we, going kind of jumping back to what I originally said about the whole FA pressure, because I do think some of it is reasonable, and kind of going into this divide. So the whole point of this video and the total with the title with the theme here is that I think a lot of people here are very divided. And I don't know if this is necessarily even a political thing. I think it's just, we're talking about crypto, right? And you know, we need to remember that he was at the Bitcoin conference in Nashville. I believe it was Nashville, about 6 months ago or less, honestly. And so it's one of those things where, like, yes, that should give a valid expectation of things, especially some of the things that he said, because he did mention about a Bitcoin reserve. He did talk about freeing Ross on day one. Today is currently day one. He's not done so. And so that is, although I personally can understand. First of all, I didn't make that promise. I was not expecting that promise to be made. And so if it doesn't get fulfilled, I totally understand. However, we need to understand, like, he needs to fulfill that promise, because that was one of the reasons that he probably got some votes from some of the Bitcoin maxi crowd. Now that being said, I know my personal belief with politicians, and Trump is one now, or just anybody that goes into office, um, you should not believe things about what they will promise to do. Don't vote. You should never be voting for somebody that promises to do something. You should be voting for people that have a history of doing things. Okay, and so whether you agree with that or not, that's totally fine. Okay, but one thing is, if we keep voting people in because of the promises that they say that they do, and then they don't do it, all it's going to do is create more people to vote for things. And a lot of people are just suckers, honestly. And I'm not saying anybody listening to this is. I'm just saying you got to be careful with that. So we'll see what happens. We still have, you know, we still have some time left. We still got about 10 hours left in the day to see if he can do that. Or I don't know if it was the first 24 hours or what's going to go on. I got no idea. Okay, so, but I do want to bring that up because those are expectations that we do have that do need to come up with it. That he does need to fulfill that promise with. Now, I do want to put a disclaimer on that. I think long term, whether he does or he doesn't, probably shouldn't matter. And that goes back into my last week's video and other things where you need to focus on yourself with this thing. Don't expect one person on earth to be some sort of like crypto savior in that sense. Like we haven't needed this since Bitcoin was created. It was basically grassroots oriented, and the whole point of it was to not have a middleman. And here we are trying to trying to make our own middleman to make us feel better again about pumping our bags. And free Ross is, he should be free. There's no reason he shouldn't be. But anyway, we'll see what happens. And so I just want to bring that up because I do think there is valid criticism, and so I'm not on either side here necessarily. Like, I do have a side, but I'm not on any one particular side. I'm not trying to cater to any one side necessarily. I'm not trying to convince you one way or the other. But I'm focusing on this divide, and like, what does this mean? What does this mean for crypto? What does this mean for the next 4 years? And I think there's some things that will matter, and I think there's some things that won't matter. I think there's going to be some consolations um, if things don't play out the way that they are. I don't have high expectations, not because I don't think they'll be fulfilled. Um, and this might be why I take a very conservative stance, no pun intended, about all of this, because I'm not expecting someone to bail me out. And so that's the thing. Like, some of you um, are just happy that your party got into office, but you're expecting the same things as a different party. Like, I don't I don't understand that, but I'm not going to go there. My point is, what's what's going to be the difference? Let's say, you know, we could have a big impact. And here's the thing: the United States can have a very big impact on crypto in the markets, right? There's a few things that I think can be highlighted. First of all, Bitcoin Reserve. I don't even think that that's necessarily. It is great for Bitcoin, but I think more importantly, it would be great for our nation. I even when I joined in 2017, I probably didn't think about it till 2018, but I was a fan of countries buying Bitcoin. I've thought of that years ago, and I was like, why are no countries doing this, or even states here in the United States? And El Salvador of all countries stepped up. There's a lot of other countries that are doing it. I think Africa is a great continent to do so. If they I, I think they are doing it. I think some of the countries there are doing it, but not good enough. But that's a great way to kind of level up your economy there. And so for me, it's not even for as far as the Bitcoin Reserve. I think that's going to do more damage to the United States by not doing it than it would be for Bitcoin not doing it. See what I'm saying? So I think there's multiple facets and angles here, and so the potential is going to be high. First, some of the things I think that make the biggest impact would be the Bitcoin Reserve. It also would be like bring back like a lot of Bitcoin and crypto services like leverage trading. There's no reason why like that was legal when I joined. That was legal in the United States when I joined. Okay, and now it's like I don't even care if KYC is mandatory by doing so. The thing is, it's like people are trying to hide through this or whatever, and so all that does is stifle things. Like yes, I do agree that it does protect some people, but those some people that don't care if they're not protected are still going to go on Moonshot. Like Moonshot's downloadable in the United States. Like come on, like what's it any different? There's no difference. Sports gambling is basically legal in a lot of states that are here, including the one I live in. And so what's that any different? What's that any different? So I think it would, that's the first thing is the Bitcoin Reserve. Second thing is bring back some of these services and just make it open and DeFi open. And so I've always viewed this as we should have a two different rails, like one that's they're parallel, where one is decentralized and one is centralized. Okay, and if you choose to, you can connect to the central, like you're decentralized by default, but if you want to use some services, then you can connect to that service. Okay, that's what I think, and I'm not against a centralized service in context of the United States. Okay, um, because well, there's various reasons for that, but I think a dual payment rail system would benefit both parties. I think that would be good. I think there should be um, better, cleaner, and reduced tax structures for crypto, for example. I think those could do really good. And I think the United States could really be a example for the world on what to do, because I can guarantee you if we have a very favorable outlook for crypto the next 4 years for this administration, the world will follow. Okay, um, and the world's going to do it whether we do it or not. But we need to front run this, okay? Because right now, I think we should be lucky in 2025 that the only countries that have really done it is El Salvador, a very small country that's very quickly becoming very important. And so and but that should be an example of what the United States can do, because we can outbuy them. We certainly can. There's no reason why we there's no reason why America should not. There's no reason why America um, shouldn't have like 20 Dubais here. Okay, like I've been to a lot of big cities in America, and I mean I was even in Chicago within a year ago, and like it's fine, but it's like I've also been around the world, and we are losing bad. Okay, like the cities are bad. I don't want to get into that too much, but you know what I'm saying. Like comparing, I don't think it's fair to compare New York to Dubai. Like Dubai just in Singapore, and all those things like Seoul, South Korea. Like we should have like 20 Dubais in our country, like of that quality, cleanliness. There are other issues besides that. Yes, I understand, but I think getting the infrastructure will certainly help first. So those are just my thoughts with that. Now, what if nothing happens? Okay, if nothing really happens, then we're just kind of stuck where we are, and I think that's the easiest thing you can think of. Like we're just kind of floating around here. And honestly, I think the best case that can happen with that is that we just go back, like we continue to have a divide. That those that want to be a degen meme trader will do that, and then those that want to focus on more, Bitcoin. That I think Bitcoin and Ethereum and Solana will probably head more towards the legacy DeFi world, um, and that's about it. Now, I'm very hesitant to think that um, crypto will get any negative. As far as like rule, I seriously doubt this new administration is going to hammer down on rules. Um, you never know; it certainly could, but I don't think so. And so that's where I think that consolation comes in. But we'll see. I'm kind of speculating at this point, and we'll see where that goes. So anyway, that's kind of the theme. I could continue more, but I think I've talked enough about this. I know that this is not going to be sufficient for a lot of people, and I understand that, but I'm just giving you my thoughts. I'm giving you my opinions. You are welcome to comment on your opinions and let me know. And that's fine. But I mean, if you disagree, that's fine. I mean, I'm probably not going to engage in a conversation because I'm kind of another reason I'm taking too long for this video for the theme. So I'm also kind of done with the topic. Um, I I just don't think that these tokens are that big of a deal. I really don't. I think people are looking way too into it. Okay, it's just a meme coin that was created. Yes, I do think there's some valid concerns. We need to wait and see. We do. Okay, and so the biggest situation with this is really just people that have maybe lost money from the liquidity suck. But that's happened before. Those of you that have been here for at least a cycle understand that this has happened before. But this is a I know this is a bit different because now you got somebody to blame, okay, so to speak. So you can interpret that how you want. We'll see where this goes, and so hopefully this creates a buy opportunity for other tokens. We'll see what happens. So anyway, that is the theme. I hope that's sufficient for you. But I'm going to go into the charts, and we're going to start with Bitcoin. We're doing Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and just continuing forward. All right, so first up is Bitcoin on the weekly. Now, we did get to do all-time highs earlier today, in the past 24 hours. And this is where I did post on X about this. Like crypto is silent. They are very, very, very silent about this. And I've never, and I did post this. I said, I don't understand why people are so bearish at all-time highs. Okay, um, we don't even have a divergence here, so I don't know that the it's purely um, because of what's happened in the markets for the past few days, and this is why I really do, and I mean all intention. I'm not trying to offend anybody, but this kind of leans into my theme where I said just a couple minutes ago, I don't think this is a big deal. I don't. Um, because this will die out. Okay. I gave an example of when Elon bought Bitcoin and Tesla. Okay. It went up. Okay. At the end, it smoothed itself out. Okay. Why weren't you upset about this? Okay. You weren't upset about this if you were here because it pumped your bags. You are upset about this because it didn't pump your bags and you lost some money. And I think that's completely understandable. I totally, totally do. I really, really do. Um, that being said, I think that that's going to blow over time. Okay. And so I also think that that lends an opportunity to make sure you have risk management. Um, I don't think, I don't know, maybe I'm delusional. But I did lose money. I lost, let's see, maybe 10% of my entire exposure. And yeah, it sucks, but I don't really feel that bad about it, because I've lost that before. Probably a little bit less than that, actually. I'm not quite sure. But my point is, if you utilize things like taking profits, risk management, rotation, diversification, long term spots, buying at key entries, you will hedge against these things. Okay. But this is also why I said on a post on X that this is an emotional black swan. Because I think it was. I think it qualifies as a black swan on a emotional level. I think it really broke a lot of people's spirit. I think a lot of people are done. At least they say that they are. I think it did, but it goes back to what I said earlier in this video, really early in this video about expectations. Okay, some people have expectations that these things won't happen, but most of us should know this. Like, again, I'm not saying it should happen all the time. I'm not saying you're not justified. So I totally understand you. Okay, but I've been in this is my third cycle, and this has happened quite a bit. Okay, how many times do you wake up and realize, like, oh, they're talking about Mount Gox FUD again, or about Sam Bankman guy, or all this other stuff. Okay, like, or COVID. Okay, this was not even close. This is not even the same category as the COVID drop. Okay, I remember exactly where I was when this happened. Okay, I was freaking out that the market was going down. Didn't have a lot of money. And I was sitting in a car and it was raining and all that, and I was like, screw it, I'm gonna sell, and it went down. I was like, okay, I'm glad I sold up here. Okay, I sold one of these two candles here, and so I got out, but then I didn't get back in, and by the time this rolled around, I actually missed it. Okay, and so that's what's so dangerous about this, is because you could sell here, you can get a great exit. Okay, I got a fantastic exit on this, and most of that was luck. But if I waited until August, okay, because you're freaking out about COVID and everything, like, well, now I gotta buy back higher, and so that's why I say these things. I will not coddle nobody, and I'll try to have compassion, but you also need to learn from this as well, and so the danger could be, well, you might have to buy back higher when it doesn't make sense to, okay, and so Bitcoin's still at 103, almost 104. Okay, so you got to kind of play that out. And so that's kind of where that's my context for viewing this, okay? I'm not trying to offend, but if we look at this from a TA standpoint, there's not a lot of things that have really changed. And this is why I am a TA purist when it comes to, well, trading, because like, technic I should say fundamentally, that is, as far as the spread goes, as far as all the situations, that's going to be your best R&R, because you can control all the environments. You understand what candles mean. You understand the moving averages. You understand what the supply and demand is. You understand all the educational aspects of trading. Okay. The thing about fundamental stuff is sometimes you can't understand that. Sometimes the market is irregular, like GameSpot. Okay. GameSpot is just doing what it's doing because it's doing it, and there's other people involved, and there's other really good companies that don't perform well, for whatever reason. Okay, and then you also got the politicians in the past and corruptions, things like that. So you have all the shareholders and CEOs, selling their stock and all these other things. Like, there's so many other variables, and I can guarantee you, subconsciously, one of those reasons is because you want this to be complicated. Okay, like, there's a reason people like those CIS shows, the criminal shows, and they're talking all fancy. You don't know what they're talking about, but they sound smart. And the whole reason is, like, complicated sounds cool. Okay, with the heat maps and everything else with trading, people want to complicate things, because if they feel complicated about it, it feels high shelf. It feels only smart people like me can do this. But guess what? This is a 20 IQ environment. Sometimes the dumbest things matter, and there's people out there that are dumber than you, that are making more money than you, because they're not scared to do it. Okay? I'm not offending. I'm not trying to offend anyone. If I do, I apologize. But that's the absolute truth. Okay? And it applies to me too. Okay? Um, I'm. It's happened to me before. Okay, plenty of times. So you just gotta kind of take that in. But let's go back to the weekly here. This is the current candle here. Don't want to talk about that too much. We had a high up here. Highest close that we had is 104 and some change. We still are under that for now. We do have a divergence in play if this goes above that, so that is something to understand. I do think that we probably can get this weekly here to close above it. We'll see how that goes. I do think we can. If it does set up a divergence. We'll probably reaccumulate. And we might go back to my March thesis actually, but we'll see where that goes. But I think so far this is good. I don't foresee why the market should just drop 20%. I just really don't, because most of them are. If you see all these things, um, all the mains are green. Okay, so this is my main coins. Most of these are high market cap. Most of these are legacy, right? The bottom ones here that I've added later are meme coins. Okay, you got meme coins minus 12, minus 20. Okay, minus 11. That was up 50% the other day. So Bongo's down. Like most of these are meme coins, AI coins, whatever. WIF is down just a little bit. Even Bonk is down. So like Ray's fine. Ray's exchange, and so like Dimitra infrastructure, right? So like you can see this is where like if you paid attention to the inauguration, Trump did talk about rebuilding infrastructure in America. Now that's not directly tied to crypto at all, but I don't think that that's a coincidence that infrastructure-based coins are performing well today. Okay, and that this is what you guys want, right? Like a lot of people on X were complaining that why do we do meme coins? Why can't the new administration focus on infrastructure? Well, they are, and they're starting with the actual economy first. And if that goes well, guess what? Your infrastructure coin's probably going to have a better. Like I want nothing more than have real projects to buy. I would prefer real projects. Meme coins are fun, but at the end of the day, they're just fun. They're throwaway. You take profits on them, you go to the next one, or you get out. Okay. Infrastructure ones are a bit different, so I don't know. I feel like it's kind of lining up with what you guys want, but you're just not happy with the way that you want it. I'm not talking about anybody in particular. I'm not trying to offend anybody. And of course, I can be wrong about this. So, but my goal here is to try to help you the best that I can with the data that I have and to understand that. So anyway, that is pretty much the weekly. We have, full bull on here. It's at 100%. RSI, like I said, it's not in a divergence right now, but it will position to be if we go higher. I can. Well, there's not really much else to be said with this. I mean, I could do some placement here, but I mean that's pretty much it with that. I mean, some people have asked me like, is this a top? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. Okay, we just hit all-time high today, first of all, and so unless this is the Pico top, I don't understand. And I'm willing to be wrong about that, but here's the thing about that, right? So if you think this is a top, this is not the place to look at this. And the reason why is because you need to have a confirmation, okay? If this comes back down, excuse me, below this level, which would be like 94, 93, then you can start thinking about tops. So the whole point is most people talk about tops, and nobody really did last cycle, funny enough. But now it's like a thing, right? So you want to wait for confirmation, and then you get out of that confirmation, right? You wait for confirmation, otherwise you're just going to do yourself some damage. So anyway, that is the weekly. We can go to the daily. I don't want to spend too much time on the daily. Had the pump up and rejection, but still going pretty good. This is really what you got to look forward to. Just need to break above to that 106, 300 territory, and then we'll be fine. A high bullish cross. That's another reason why I think that we're going to continue to higher is because we do have this high bullish cross in play. I do think that we can probably consolidate for the week. Like I said, going into February, March, I think we can rally from there. So that's pretty much it for Bitcoin on the weekly. Let's go ahead and go to Ethereum. All right, so ETH and Solana, I'm going to do them together. I'm kind of running out of time, so we'll kind of do this together weekly. Not really so good. We've had a drop down really for the past couple of months, and so we really hit a wall here at about 4,000. We're still looking pretty good, like 33 here on the weekly, but you also understand like we have a lot of, I don't want to say resistance, but complications here, and so the best thing I can look at as far as this goes is kind of like an ascending triangle pattern. But there is a lot of other issues like Vitalik has said some of these issues. He's kind of gone a little on the crazy side here, and they're looking at staking, things like that. There's a lot of things that have unfolded. Can't really get into, but it's kind of stalled here. Now Ethereum is doing pretty good today, and I think it is getting bought up by some big parties, so that is helpful. But as far as the long term goes, I need to see more. There's not a lot going on here. It has not recovered. I've had a lot of people argue with me about um, my position on Ethereum because it's just very inefficient. Like it hasn't made a new high in almost 1,200 days, and it probably won't for 1,200 days, versus something like Sol that has made it pretty recently. At least got a wick. You know what I'm saying? Like, and a lot of other coins, like Sui have done that pretty recently. Like Dogecoin, it's still waiting on that, but like XRP, is doing pretty good. So like these, you know, I don't think there's no excuses for Ethereum. There isn't. It's switched to proof of stake. It's doing everything it needs to be doing. Gas fees are still too high. Like, and even I mean, they got reason a lot lower to give them credit. It went because when I've had to pay fees of $100 or $300 before. Now it's like $5, and that's fine. But Solana fees are like 5 cents, or even less than 1 cent. So that's that's a key consideration that I think needs to be put in place. But also the onboarding is very hard for Ethereum. The same with Polygon and things like that. Like I can't, I'm trying to use Polygon and I can't. Like somebody sent me some money on a wallet and it's like I can't even do it because I need freaking ETH gas and it's very frustrating. Okay, so it's it's not sufficient for mass adoption. It's just not. Okay, Solana is much better at that. So anyway, that is pretty much the weekly. The Aaron's going down here. It's trying to cross here. This will just form a bearish consolidation. So I think over the weeks we might get a drop down here to the red line. I honestly don't think Ethereum will perform very well. And even if it does, it's still going to be below 4,000. I don't foresee 4,000 even being a thing in the next month, if not 2 months. But it's got to do better. I can go to ETHBTC really quick and just check. Like it's broke down. A lot of people thought this would hold. Well, guess what? It's breaking down. There is a bull div, so maybe that will change, but it needs to change. And that's the thing. Like you are putting yourself. This is like saying like your favorite football team is behind by 21 points. Like yeah, there's still a chance, but that chance needs to happen. Okay, like that being against the wall is not a position that you want your favorite coin to be in, right? So you just need to understand that and kind of work with that. Daily is not even doing that great. It's not even. I mean, it's rejected a little bit, but and that's the thing. Even though it's outperforming Bitcoin today, Bitcoin still looks pretty better or looks better because of its structure for the past month or two. Let's go to Solana here. Had the rejection here, had a very good opportunity here to really close out a massive week, just to get an explosive week, but it rejected, and so now on the weekly we have more of a double top here. Now this is good. This is a little interesting because we could come back down to about 221 around, actually more probably 217 here at this midline structure, like there. Okay, and so we'll see. That's pretty much the gap that we're looking at. But Aaron does have the high bullish cross. That's a very good sign. Aaron's RSI is doing fine, things like that. But we really need to reclaim that level. And well, actually, it do. I should apologize here. It actually made a new high here. And so that's pretty good. I do like that, but it didn't close underneath it. But this is not a deviation because deviations need to go above the wick here, above 263. It closed just under that, about 261. And so this will be just interpreted as a range for me. There's another opportunity to make this work. We'll see where that goes. I'm still in favor of things chopping until March. I don't think the inaugurations, in my opinion, changes that. Now, I think we still might see some highs for some things. I think things might perform well, but overall, I think things, I think things will be fine. I just think things will be as bullish as you think they are, and that's not. And here's the problem with the whole Trump situation: is like everybody's going to blame that now for 4 years. Everybody's going to blame him in the crypto world because of that stupid meme coin, right? And so the thing is, you guys are doing the exact same thing that opponents did for the previous administration, like blaming for everything, right? Blaming Biden for gas prices, things like that, right? And so it's the same thing all over again. And And here's the thing, I know you feel justified by doing that. I think most of you feel like you do, and I think your feelings are justified. I think your feelings are completely fine, justified. I think the problem is the execution. Don't let your execution dictate what just happened over the weekend for the next 4 years, okay? Because otherwise, you're going to fall susceptible to your own emotions, and it's going to make you trade worse, okay? So try to find a way to mitigate that, and don't let that define you, right? And so there's a big difference between a collateral issue or a primary issue. And so, again, what did I say earlier in this video? There are some things you can't control, and there's some things you can control. Okay, you may not be able to control your emotion. You can actually, but some people say you can't. I disagree. But my point is, you can't control the next crazy thing Trump may or may not do that you may or may not like. But you can control the way that you trade, your strategies, your edge, your application, and things like that. So anyway, that's pretty much all I'm going to say about that. So anyway, that is the video. Sorry, I got to cut this short just a little bit. I wanted to cover more on the technical side, but I do have to run. I got to head out to the hospital. So I thank you for watching this long. Okay, please subscribe, look at my private group, things like that. I think this is a very controversial week of controversial topic. My goal is not to divide, because there's already a lot of division out there. Okay, I want you guys to have a place that you can go to. My group is a place to go to learn, to apply knowledge, to be profitable, but also a place where I will not I will not be soft per se. I want to apply the proper discipline, and some of that, the whole idea about discipline is sometimes you're just not going to like something that I say. But I want you to understand, even though you may disagree with me, I'm coming from a place of personal experience, application, and looking at the long-term success. So anyway, let me know what you think. I'm happy to talk about things more. I'll see you next time.